Okay, very good afternoon. It's Vikram Sareen here, Chief Architect with Mula Technologies. Today's weekend, so we just thought that to spend some time and make a quick video on the XPAY Manager dashboard. So what we're going to do is that we're going to showcase few of the features that are a part of the XPAY Manager dashboard. So we have few other dashboards like Bridge as well as the Merchant dashboard. So we'll come to that later. But in this demo, we are going to cover the XPAY Manager. Now the XPAY Manager essentially is going to be used by the bank or by the payment system owner, and that's where they're going to actually manage the merchants, their groups, as well as the transactions and what kind of commission plus what kind of currency that needs to be coming in. So all those kind of things will be done by the administrator of the XPAY Manager. So we are going to go through the add and edit of merchant, and then add and edit of the merchant group, so which could be, let's say, a private company or a NGO or a government body. And then we are going to go for transactions. So transactions will essentially cover everything. That means failed transactions, initiated transactions, successful transactions, and then we'll have the transaction settlement. So settlement is the set of transactions that will be basically successful transactions. So only you will get to see the list of successful transactions, and that's what will be basically settled between the merchant and the issuing bank. And then we have the currency. So we have the option where you can actually pull the currency exchange. So let's say from US dollar to Thai baht, or from US dollar to Khmer, or currency, and then vice versa. So that can be pulled from the main source of core banking. And then we have global setting. So I'll go through that, what all the global setting covers. And then lastly, we will have the reports. So reports, again, we'll go through that when we look at the dashboard. So let's get started. Okay, so this is the quick login. I'm logging in as sysadmin, so he gets to access for all the features. So it's easy for us to show you. I'm logging in. Now the first screen shows me the list of merchants. What I'll quickly do is I'll switch to the merchant group and explain you. So as you would see over here is that we have 4 merchants, all are active, and then you have the payment options. So in this particular deployment, what we have done is that we have set up 2 acceptable attributes, which is the account number of the user or of the saving account holder or current account holder, and then also the CIF number. So CIF number is the number which you can actually associate for each unique user in the system as per the banking. And then over here you can obviously come and edit it. So in terms of edit, you can actually if you want to change the settings or if you want to suspend them, and then you can save it, and based on that the system will react accordingly. Yeah, if you want to add a new group, you can come here and add a new group. So these groups essentially help you segregate the merchants that you have. So here I have a list of merchants that are already present in the system. So let's quickly go through one of them. Now it's active right now. So if I want to suspend, I can suspend from here. So once I suspend it, what it means is that the merchant will not be accessible, meaning that the complete access to XPAY system will be stopped for that particular merchant. They will not be able to do transactions. They will not be able to log into the system. It will be completely stopped for them. So it is quite a serious or a critical state, that whether you keep it active and suspended. And then if, let's say, in future you don't have any more business with that particular merchant, then you can actually go for remove. Now the key difference between suspend and remove is suspend will keep everything there, it's just the state will become suspended. So you can obviously set it at active later. Once you remove it, it's gone forever. So remove is I would say like the red zone or the danger zone. So once you remove a particular merchant, that means it's completely gone and everything will be removed for that. So that can be quite dangerous in that context, but otherwise it depends on what the relationship between the merchant and the XPay owner is. So if I go to edit, in edit I can see all the details of the merchant which needs to be configured when they actually go ahead, and then also we're going to look at the access policy. So let me quickly start with the merchant part. And then over here you could see the name. Then this is the merchant ID. This merchant ID is what is given when they make the web service calls or uniquely identifies in the system. Again, whether the status is active or inactive or suspended. Then this is basically their information when you want to get in touch. So phone number, email, address, as well as the fax number. The second part is the commission. Now this is the commission that is charged at two levels. The first level is the payer, that means the actual account holder of the XPAY bank system, so which could be your saving account holder or your prepaid card holder, and then what should be the fees to them. So in this case, if you leave it as 0, that means there is nothing being charged and it is being disabled. So over here you have two other options, which is fixed. So let's say if I select as fixed, I say 1, that means $1, and then I say okay, $1 is what I go to charge the particular user for the transaction. Other is variable, where I can say okay, I want to charge 2.5%, 2.5. So that obviously when you write that is done in percentage, and that means if I do a $100 transaction, that means the user will be charged $2.5 for that particular transaction. Yeah, so fixed is fixed amount, variable is the percentage of the transaction that you're going to put in. Or you say disable. Disable is, that means I don't want the end user to be charged. The second is more or less exactly the same. You have fixed, meaning you can say okay, I want to charge the merchant $5 or $10 per transaction, and then I want what currency I want to charge it for. So let's say if I want to charge in Khmer, then I come over here and I can pick up any currency and then put it here. So concept wise it's exactly the same. Then I have the variable, which is again it will be in percentage, so I say 3%. And there's an additional field over here which is what we call it as the merchant discount rate. This essentially gives the discount to the merchant. So let's say you have a particular NGO or a partner bank or a partner retailer who wants to use the system, but they say that whenever anybody buys online, we would like actually some discount to be given to us. That is basically for the goodwill of the business that is coming in. So you can actually come over here and say okay, you know what, every transaction you do will give you 4% discount on that. So that also helps to promote your business and bring or give you flexibility in terms of bringing your business back to the or giving it out to your merchants, special merchants whom you want to give special treatment. Now going to the next one, that's the remote server. So over here we have the local host, then the username and password. This is essentially used for when the transaction actually gets done and the referral number gets checked. So again over here we won't worry about this. This use FTP. Okay. So again this is more on a technical setting. So right now, because the deployment is localhost, so we're going to put that. So that is just picking up the local settings over here. Now what is more relevant is this one. Select the account type. So you can pick up whether it's a trial account or a live account. So trial account means that it is basically used for testing purpose. So essentially when you're doing a UAT or a SIT with the bank, then you want to, or sorry, with the merchant, then you can actually say okay, this particular merchant right now is in the trial stage or he's in a live stage. So typically what happens is that you can create two merchants or two accounts for the same merchant. One could be a test account and one could be a live account. So you can actually come over here and specify that. Then you can specify what kind of company it is. So private, government body, NGO, or again so it's shown over here, and then you can have that. Then the other part is the group. So you can actually specify what group you want to put it in. This again, as I told you, that this is to segregate the merchants in terms of in their group which they belong to. Let's say so typical example would be, let's say online retailers or movie stores or ticketing companies, airlines or hotels. So you can actually create those groups, and then you can segregate your merchants as per that. And then the next one is direct transfer. So over here you actually see disable and enable. Disable means that you are actually going to let XPAY not execute the transaction with the core system or the core banking. So it's actually going to wait for it, and after 1 or 2 weeks, which is a pre-setting, after that the transaction will be executed. The prime reason of having this is that whether it's based on the risk that you want, that whether you want to allow the merchants to get the money directly as soon as the transaction happens, or you want the merchant to get the money after 1 or 2 weeks. So over there you can actually leverage that time in terms of whether the merchant has actually delivered its its committed products or services to the actual user or not. So typically if it's real time, it's like RTGS, so real time the transaction gets executed, fees, calculation, everything gets done immediately. Otherwise, if you keep it disabled, then the XPAY will keep the keep the transaction, and only after a week or 2 weeks it will actually execute it. Okay, now going to the next one. These are the list of merchant accounts. Now let me share with you what essentially it states is that let's say one particular merchant might have a few different types of currency accounts. So meaning that let's say you have one account in US dollar, one account in Khmer. So over here you can actually come in and specify the account number and also the type of the currency that you want to support. So right now is seen as 4. So that's essentially the setting that is predefined. So you can actually have up to 10 accounts for a particular merchant, and then over here you can come and save all the settings. So this was very quickly showing you that what are the merchant settings that will be used for that. Yeah, and the other side is the policy. Now what it means is that what will be the access policy that will be provided. So let's say there's a particular merchant whom you want to only give access from morning 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. Because that's the only office hours where their transactions can happen. So over here you can actually come in and specify the the date and time when you want to allow, and also whether you want to allow for the weekdays or also weekends. So you can actually pick up the date and time of that. And then let's say if you have 40, 50 or 100 merchants that are coming and using your XPAY system, and you want to actually give each merchant a dedicated throughput or bandwidth in terms of how many transactions they can execute in a day. So you can actually come over here and say, okay, I want to only allow 1,000 transactions in a day. Lastly, allowed IP. The allowed IP, essentially what it means is that when the merchant server actually talks to XPAY platform, then we want to check whether the request is coming from the right source IP or domain. So over here you can actually come and set that what IP or domain that will come in from the merchant side to actually do the initiations. Any IPs which are not listed over here, they will be immediately rejected back. So you can actually put multiple IPs here. So let's say if I want to allow Google, or if I also want to allow let's say xpay.com, or let's say I want to allow mulatech.com. So these are few APIs I want to allow. So because the merchant might have a production as well as a DR IPs, that means they have their own production setup and DR setup. So all these IPs can be set over here, and you can actually do the time as well as the date and time, as well as the days, as well as the number of transactions that will be allowed. So once you save this, that's where your merchant gets activated. And so groups I have already explained. So over here what you would see is that these are the two first parts that we have covered till now. So let's quickly I think cover the transaction, settlement and others in the part 2 of this demo. Yeah. So we want to keep it short, so it can be little capsules of 4 or 5 minutes of time where we can actually talk about each feature. So I think in the next video we will be covering the other remaining parts of the XPAY manager. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.